Welcome back to MyPokeStory, a podcast-like series where I talk about my experiences with Pokemon. With Pokemon as a whole, from my origins of the journey to the present day. Today's episode is a bit more, shall I say, melancholy than others. And hold on, my mic is not liking the voice feed, so let me turn that down a little bit so you don't have to be blistering voice. That'll be nice, wouldn't it? Just by the title, I think you can tell what's going on. In the last episode, I talked about kind of like my aspirations with my YouTube channel and everything, but today's a little bit more different. We're going to talk about Pokemon Unite, and this is not a whole game review because I've done something similar like that in the past and I don't feel like doing it again. So today's actually just really a story. Kind of a short story. I don't know. This could be a short episode. We'll find out eventually. So, all of this started like, well, what I just talked about my experience with Unite, like just from the beginning. So, when I first downloaded it as the beta test, I was kind of in the middle of nowhere with no Wi-Fi to be found, and because I was on vacation, we were in this really nice cottage. I mean, it was real nice. It's in the middle of nowhere in like a mountain range, and it was real nice. But the no Wi-Fi is kind of, for me at least, it was kind of painful. And yeah, the beta test was out at that time, which means I couldn't try it at all. I was super eager for this game actually. Even it was really at first negatively recepted. Is that even a word? Its reception at first was really negative, and I didn't like that. I wasn't a fan of all that negative reception, so that's when I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. Then I'll give my opinion. But I was in the middle of nowhere with no Wi-Fi. How could I actually try it? Well, thankfully, one of the friends I was with, they had a hotspot, and I hooked up my Switch to it, downloaded the beta test, and that was a good time. It was a very good time. I really enjoyed Unite, despite that I only got like, I kid you not, like 3 games in. I was only able to get 3 games in with no knowledge of what I was doing, and I enjoyed it. And that's pretty much how it all started. When it came out, played the heck out of it. I enjoyed it. I really just did standard matches. I didn't do any ranked stuff or anything. I wasn't even into the ranked, should I say. I wasn't into the current meta. And now we have to jump over to almost a couple months ago because pretty much from that time when I first downloaded it to this point, it really nothing exciting happened with it. I was just playing games, got some friends occasionally, actually did some Twitch streaming with Revan and Balor, which has actually been on this channel before, in the Pokemon community. He's a really good friend. I really hope we can do something like that again soon, but who knows? It is what it is. It was a neat opportunity. I enjoyed that. It's really cool to experience this game with friends because you're better off playing this game with friends, and you'll I hope that you'll understand why in a little bit. So okay, so here we're going into like where like the meat comes down. This is where the meat all starts. And I know like we're like 4 minutes in, and yeah, we're getting to the meat of it. We're not going to be snowballing topics like I used to. We're just going to get straight into the main point, and we're going to stay in the main point for the entire game, excuse me, this entire episode. So where we're starting is that I was just into so I started getting into ranked just for a little bit with like no goal in mind. I got into it with like no knowledge of like what I should be doing, and I made it somehow all the way to early veteran class, which is the fourth rank you can ascend to. Like, well, okay, well you have ranks. Okay, there's beginner, great, ultra, veteran. Ultra's last. Gracious, ultra's last. What was it? I can't remember. Oh yeah, beginner, great, then expert, I think, then veteran, then ultra, and then you get to master. So you have the 4 ranks. I was able to get to rank 4, which is veteran, and then there's each rank is split into classes. There's like 5 classes after you reach expert, because I know there's 3 in beginner and 4 in great. So, and I made it that far. And now we have to bounce back for a second. I know I said I wouldn't snowball, but there's a good reason for this. I want to say it was episode 2 with like the whole drawing. I want to say it was that one. It was that one or Aspirations, the last episode. Uh, Apparently my favorite Cinderace artist, which I'm going to leave unnamed for my own reasons, they also played Unite, and I was hoping to get a chance to actually work towards maybe having an appeal to attempt to actually just play a few games with them, just out of good fun. Like just one game is would be enough to satisfy me. I kid you not. Just one would be enough. I didn't want more. I didn't want less. Just one. And how that went, well, this is, oh boy, you'll be surprised how all of this went. I promise you, you will. So I started getting into it. Just went casually. I didn't know all the meta stuff. And I made it all the way to around maybe late veteran classes. It was just like what, class 4, class 5. Then this game just started to get frustrating on me because I did a thing called solo queue, which is basically you play by yourself against 4 randos on your team and 5 randos on the other team. You quickly realize that if you're the only if you think, at least if you think that you're the only competent one and you get good randos, then if you get good randos, you basically win. If you get bad randos, you're guaranteed a loss, because if you're solo queuing, you quickly figure out that you're probably going to have to carry the game, especially if you're going to go the jungle route, which is the center area. And yeah, I played Cinderace mainly. That's my curse, apparently, to main Cinderace at this point. Yeah, I pretty much went jungle all the time when Chinese. I had to carry all my games. And did I find myself winning? No, because I had no idea what I was doing. So in order to ascend even farther, well, I didn't. I went all the way to master's class eventually with no idea of what to actually do aside from Zap, because I always thought Rotom, the top objective, was more important. But I later learned as I started to study the meta that Dreadnought, the bottom objective, was more vital, because I didn't think EXP would make the biggest difference, but apparently level lead is super important, especially in late game. And how far did I make it just doing solo queue with no help and just super basic knowledge of the meta? I made it to about 1400 because okay, so in the score, if in this score you have I wanted to get all the way to 2000, which is like what most pros are able to do every season. This is season 4, which is where solo queues or like just matchmaking in general with Unite is pretty frustrating. And I made it all the way to 1400, and I couldn't climb any higher. I had like no Unite friends to reach out to or anything. So apparently in this game you can just, if you like the people that you played matches with, you can just send friend requests to them, which I guess makes sense because like Unite even has like a whole chat system in lobby, so you can say this is like a little bit of like a social media thing in a way. So yeah, reached out, friend requests, played more matches, and then slowly but surely I got in. Slowly and surely, created a private messaging group, and then we got a lot of people. Then I opened a separate Discord server, but I wouldn't recommend you join this one because it isn't family friendly, because like this game is frustrating. It does things to you. I'm fine, I promise you, but I'm not gonna leave a link to that unless, well, no, I'm just not going to. I won't, because I'd rather you stay away from all this nonsense according to my demographic, because I want to appeal to a more general audience. Anyways, back what I was talking about. So I started really studying the meta because I was like, okay, I really want to get to 2000 master score. And how I went about that is that eventually one of this person's, like the favorite Cinderace artist friends actually followed me on Twitter, and they had a Discord, and I thought I would try to reach out saying, hey, you mind if I do some games with you? Like, because I knew they were probably good. And yeah, they actually proved like on their account, it was like really good plays, really good strategies and all that such. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And we did some at first, but I think because they were playing from overseas, there was heavy lag, and I think that's gonna, for the future, even really hinder my chances of doing it again. And that's kind of frustrating. I really want Unite to fix their overseas servers connection because it can create problems for some, and I don't think that's really that great, especially if they're trying to play games here. Like if you're playing games online, a strong connection is important and a good server, but I don't think that overseas should really hinder this too often. There should be, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, there should be a server that is able to very well, very competently handle overseas connections with little to no lag. And some games can pull this off, no problem. But I think Unite needs one of these servers because it can get really bad. Like I'd play some random games where I would get paired with people from overseas and I wouldn't know right off the bat until I get into the game. And I have like an entire second of lag, which is really, really bad, especially since this type of game, which is a MOBA. I should have clarified that earlier. Apologies for that. With MOBAs, you want to have the strongest connection possible so that you don't mess up anything. Because one late input or one too early input, even if it is by accident, could cost you the entire game. Especially since Zapdos, the final objective, which appears at 2 minutes, can really hinder. Either you have a really strong early game and you lose Zap, you can potentially lose the entire game. Not even joking. You could destroy all their goal zones, and if they get zapped, if the opposing team gets Zapdos, you just can lose the entire game. It's very frustrating. So you got to really be on your toes, especially when those big team fights like a Zap or the first Dread. Yeah, I would do all that research, learn what all the Pokemon can do, what their effects would do, and that carried me all the way up to roughly 1700 score. And it was kind of a pain to get up there because when you start doing master scores, you start ascending per win by roughly like 11, 13 points, which it's fair. That's fair. Then once you get about to 1400, 1600, that slowly goes down to 9 to 11 per win, and then slows down even more from 7 to 9, which is you actually visibly see the difference. Doesn't sound like a lot, but the difference is really noticeable, especially since no matter what score you are, for every loss you get, you're going to lose about 5 to 7 points on average. Sometimes 8 if it's a really bad loss, but it's random. And thankfully, at some points, like say if your teammate goes AFK for a long time, Unite will realize this, and because if one person on your team goes AFK, it's going to be super frustrating. I kid you not, it's super frustrating because that incredibly hinders your team's chances of winning. Because imagine this, like on team fights, you have 5 versus 5 people. One person goes AFK. Now it's a 4v5. That can really destroy your chances because they outnumber you. And one person outnumbering you, especially if it's a speedster like Absol or Gengar, especially with Absol being the meta and Gengar just being a super powerhouse, and oh boy, yeah, you're in for a bad time. It won't be fun. So later on, I make more friends on this Discord server, and then I meet more people online, and then eventually, come across a really good player. We do some duo queue, which is just 2 player in a game. We still get randos, but instead of one person trying to carry the entire game, it's actually 2. So we start playing a lot, and I actually make some real progress. Start going from around 1700 all the way to 1800, which is in that game That's like a huge deal because 1800 gives you some really neat prizes and say like, hey, congratulations on making it this far. Here's some really cool stuff. And yeah, that's that like actually gave me hope because at this point there's like maybe 10, maybe 8 days left in the season. As I'm recording this, there's actually 1 day in the season. So yeah, 8 days left in the season. I'm at around 1800. We pushed even more, get to around 1850. We're making real damage, and we're actually pretty tight. We realize that we're a pretty tight duo queue, and would love to do continue this when possible. But more on this later. It's funny how I actually did this because okay, like when it comes to the music of Unite, I'll explain why I'm snowballing. I'm snowballing, I know, but the music of Unite it is good, but for what you experience in the game, I feel like it's way too lighthearted, and it loops every like 2 minutes, but there's 10 minutes in a game, so it would be nice if you had like a 10-minute track in the game, but that I bet that puts strains on the composers of, or the writers of the music. So I don't blame him for making a repetitive track. At least it speeds up and changes key in the last 2 minutes, but would be nice if there was a whole longer track. So what I did just this is just a funny fact. It has like nothing to do with all this. Like what I did is that I split like my win rate was I know nothing this has nothing to do with the win rate. Um my win score, master score, I can't speak, help me, was going up by 7 to 9 on average. So I did mental math, took some notes, and split the score from all the way from 2000 all the way down to 1700 roughly, and split up into roughly 35 segments. And for each segment, I would put a track from Sonic Forces in there because I don't want to get into it. Like this is a Pokemon podcast, but I do like Sonic as well. Okay, I don't do it as often, but I do talk about it rarely. But I don't want to get too involved in that because yeah, that's a bit of a it's hectic. It's very hectic. But yeah, I use music from Sonic Forces because that has good music. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Yeah, so I did that per win. It's actually nice to have like change of music, even so like win or loss. At least you have a change. At least your music's being changed. That's what I did. Was satisfied with that. Then eventually, like after struggling around 1980, I was like listening to music of the Death Egg Robot phases, kind of just stuck in there. But eventually me and this guy we finally hit 2000. This was like at the time of the recording, this was like 2 3 days ago. Like that was surreal. Like the first season I really try to invest in, like in I just get 2000. Like of course we had issues, like it wasn't easy. By no means is this game easy unless you know what you're doing. You gotta know all the ins and outs. You gotta go know all the moves, how to deal with the moves, and all that such. Yeah, it's surreal. I have 2004 in this game right now, and I do not intend to push it any farther because I don't want to lose it again like I did yesterday. Like I got an opportunity to play with someone else, do a game with someone else, and rate only went my score only went down, which was not that was a terrible sign. So I had to hit up this dude again. It's like, hey, I need to get back there to keep at the end of the season. So I did that, and then I think it was yesterday. Yesterday I reached out to that Cinderace artist, and right, just oh boy, this is where it all goes down. So I like show the rate. I explain like I know what I'm doing and all that such, and then just shut down. Yeah, I just got shut down. Oh man, that was disheartening. I put I don't know how much time I put into this game. Like I'm willing to bet at least 100 hours over these like maybe 100 like maybe you know I won't go as far as say 200 maybe 200 hours over the past 50 days. Like 50 days, about 200 hours, and then all that it just felt like it was for nothing. Because that dream I had, that small one, it just got shut down completely, destroyed. So that was disheartening. But maybe this didn't deserve its own episode on this little thing, but I want to talk about my experiences and like because everyone's experience in communities, whatever it is, it's unique, and those experiences deserve to have meaning to them. Now, despite this super negative ending, what were the positives? You may ask. Well, made good friends. Made friends in this Unite community. I learned how to actually play this game properly and actually get a better chance at winning games rather than just diving head first and knowing not what I was doing. So after all that, despite the super negative ending, my experience with the game and like actually doing all this was for the most part positive. I can confidently say that my experience with this game is overall very positive despite all that happened, despite this super negative thing that happened. Like I still can confidently say that it was a positive experience, but I am super demotivated to actually push for 2000 again because yeah, just the whole shutdown thing just destroyed pretty much destroyed my chances of trying to push for 2000 again unless I get a really good opportunity again. But let's face it, I'm a small YouTuber, small name in this community. Who's gonna care? I mean, who's gonna care, right? Well, at least right now, I'm gonna imagine I get like actually, yeah, 10K subscribers, and then I look back on this, I'm like, what was I saying? Everyone has those moments, okay? Everyone just has those moments. It, yeah, I just, if anything, I'm just gonna be maybe a sparring partner for those who need it, or when the new season starts 2 days from now at the time of this recording, I'll just be there to help them push along their way. And yeah, I'll just be someone who helps out rather than trying to aim for like a super high number. Despite that, like master score 2000 is like a pro rating. It's up there. It's really hard to get to, especially since I told you guys that the score you increase is super slow when you win like 6 to 8 even. Like you go past maybe 2200, you're looking at increases of like 3 to 5. That's incredibly slow, and you still lose points at a rate of like 5 to 7. Like I'm not saying I've been there, but I've seen actual pro players push those numbers and increase that slow. Like it's bonkers, and especially with all that future Unite stuff. Is much gonna change? Like no, I don't think much is gonna change in my perspective after this. Yeah. I do, but do I have any hopes for this game in the future? Do I still intend to continue in the future? I do, because I do enjoy Pokemon Unite and plan to still actually do it, but more casual now. Like I have the pro strats in mind, but I think I'm just gonna be stick to very casual, not gonna push for super high ranking because of all this. It I don't really know how to explain it really, so I think I'm just gonna call it there for today. Thanks for tuning in to my Poke Story. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.